All right, welcome to Buffalo Plus, my Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. First of all, I'm at my grandparents' house, so hence the background. I don't want to hear it.
Beautiful.
I mean, the curtains are in fantastic, but yes. All right, let's talk about something that's way more important. That's this game. We know a lot on the line, Mike. Just before we get started, how do you feel like the Bills are feeling heading into this one?
It's an odd thing, right? Because they should have pressure on them. I think they had immense pressure on them at home.
Mm-hmm.
But when they lost, the narrative quickly changed. The Patriots were crowned as they're back. So it's kind of shifted a little bit. In the big picture, it would be a bad loss for the Bills just because they'd have gotten swept. But in this individual game, it's like, okay, New England, you got that win. Now you got to follow up with it. You know, they would have basically a 2-game lead and it could go away. So I think the Bills are probably feeling pretty good because I think they feel like, Dan, that it's going to be a little more of a truer test, at least to the way they play.
Yeah, I think the last game was just such an anomaly, just the way that the conditions played out. And the fact that this game, it just feels like it's going to be more of a even playing field, even though it's going to be in Foxborough, is just kind of getting a better shot at this. And I think you're right. And also the narrative is just really different for both teams. The Bills kind of coming off, maybe finding something, going back to that second half of, yeah.
Hopefully not high. I don't know.
And just the fact of the Bills kind of finding something and the Patriots kind of struggling at the end of last week, kind of going into the Colts and kind of getting pushed around.
Yeah. By the way, that's hilarious.
Gerald, that's funny.
By the way, don't mess with Jenna because it appeared that the Bucs wide receiver messed with her in the game, and now he's out for the season.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah, man. No more tests, though. I'm done with the tests.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started.
All right.
I'm getting my stopwatch ready.
You tell me when you're ready to go, Jenna.
Okay. All right, I'm going to count you down in 3, 2.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
Welcome into Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris, Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. We are getting you ready for the biggest game so far of the season. The Bills taking on the Patriots with the AFC East title on the line. Mike, we know there's so much hype leading into this game. How do you think this Bills team is feeling, knowing what's at stake and also knowing they're going to Foxborough, a place that has not been the friendliest to them?
I think they feel better than they did after the last game with the Patriots ended. Think about where they were then. That was that head-to-head matchup. And then the Bills go and lose the next week, even though it was in Tampa. You lose that game and you're like, okay, now we're down. We're really down. But then things shifted, right? They won at home and New England got knocked off by Carolina. So all of a sudden it's like there's life again and they have an opportunity. Like when they lost to Tampa, you started to think like the division, division, they wouldn't really had a shot, but they needed a New England loss. That happened. So they got themselves set up. I think, Dan, it helps revitalize them a little bit after being a bit down after those 2 losses.
And it's the playoff standings are just so murky that you just really didn't know where the Bills were going to settle. And all of a sudden you were like, well, just make the playoffs, just make a wild card, just get in. And all of a sudden the Patriots on Saturday night kind of opened the door. And I appreciated Harrison Phillips at the end of the game going like, yeah, I watched it. Like, yeah, like that is still what we've been striving for. Like that is still what the, what the goal is every season. So I think going back to just 2 teams kind of coming on off of different, emotions, the Patriots losing Saturday night, the Bills pretty much taking care of business against Carolina. Not a great team, but again, never thought that game was in question. Start to finish, the Bills played well. And as Micah Hyde said after the game, confidence is a hell of a drug. And the Bills, for the first time really this season, going back to the second half against Tampa, carrying it into the Carolina game, seem to have a little bit of that mojo that they had probably not since Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. I
hey, Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the Bills are?
I think they're good. I mean, there's so much pressure on this team, but I think this is a cool point in the season because of what this game means. Like, this is what you play for. And we've heard Josh Allen say all the time, like, meaningful football is what you want to be playing. Okay, that's great. You're playing in a very meaningful football game for your team, for the division. So go out and win. And I feel like this Bills team has been that team that we talked about that's been inconsistent this season. Well, consistently inconsistent.
Yep.
This would be a way to really have that confidence be settled going into later on in the season and around the playoffs. So
I wanted to add one thing to that. There's an old NFL Films thing with Bill Parcells, and they play this clip every once in a while. And he's talking to his players, and he says, "This is why you lift all them weights." And it kind of is funny, like when you hear it. But what he's basically saying is, this is why you do all this work.
Yeah.
This is why you love this game. You got to love this game to play it. It's a brutal game.
Thanks.
It is. And should it be in this spot? I mean, Bills fans, just think about that. You'd want to be ahead of them, but it's still a huge game. You are playing the biggest game of the week.
Yeah, and they're getting, looks like one of their guys back, Emmanuel Sanders, practicing this week. Dan, what did you see from him in Buffalo this week?
I thought he looked great. I mean, you can see some of the video here. We didn't know how long he would be out. He had a sprained knee suffered in the Tampa Bay game. Obviously missed last week against Carolina, but he looked really good. A lot of the drills looked fresh, looked clean. Stephon Diggs, pretty much says they expect to have him back. That's a big boost because they will be without Cole Beasley. We know that because he tested positive. So I think it was a big boost. To see him out on the field looking fresh was a good sign.
Yeah, and Stephon Diggs was asked about that. Cole Beasley's not going to be out there. What do you expect heading into Sunday? Here's what Diggs had to say.
Shit, we don't got no choice as far as like rallying together. We got a lot of guys. We talked about it earlier in the year. At one point, depth was going to be a thing for us. We got a lot of guys that can make plays. You see Gabe Davis stepping up last week. You see a lot of guys. We got a lot of talent, and we knew it was going to come in handy at one point. Things turn the corner fast, and as the wheels turn, I think we're going to have Emmanuel back this week that added another one of our horses, another one of our talented players. So we look to just try to keep the ball rolling and get it go 1-0.
Yeah, getting a horseback. We know how important that is because we know this Bills team is going to need those weapons and for Josh Allen.
Yeah, and it's the old Marv Levy, statement, Mike. Depth's great until you have to use it. And it's not so great. The Bills, I thought what he said was very true. And, even more with COVID kind of doing its thing and affecting leagues and, the league. And just kind of saying that, like, we knew we were going to have this. Maybe it's Jake Kumaro. Maybe it's Isaiah McKenzie, one of those guys.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week because we didn't know about Sanders. The idea was McKenzie in the slot or what they're going to do. Sanders can play that slot position. Yep. He's done it a lot before. And Gabe Davis can play on the outside. And that doesn't mean you line him up because that's the only place he can play. I mean, they do have versatility, especially with those two guys, that you can move them around. So I will expect to see Sanders get time in the slot, certainly on Sunday.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Dan, we know this game is going to come down to one thing, and Josh Allen told us all about that.
Yeah, it is Wednesday media availability. The one thing, we've talked about cliches a lot. Josh was a master on Wednesday of fitting in one word into nearly all of his answers.
Figure out what we can do to best execute that game plan on Sunday. And like I said, just try to go execute a game plan and give us a chance to win a game. So, again, we're just trying to go out there and have a good week of practice and execute on Sunday. We got to be prepared and be ready to go execute. And again, and that's to go out and execute and try to win a game on Sunday against do our job and go out and try to execute a game plan. Let's go out there and execute on Sunday. We try to set that aside as much as possible and just try to focus in and hone in on executing a game plan. It's executing game plan. It's just go out there and try to execute the best we can. So whoever that may be, we got to go out there and guys got to step up and we got to execute.
That was 11.
I'm just trying to
separate. Right.
I'm just trying to execute, guys. I'm just trying to execute this show, hit the right buttons, execute.
Do you feel, first of all, that was from one press conference. We just want to remind people, one press conference. Do you feel like Josh Allen wakes up in the middle of the night and like, I got to execute? Like, it's just like regurgitating, like, oh, I got to say that.
Well, hey, let's be honest. One of the questions was, what do you want for Christmas? And he went right into, I want my team to execute on offense. And I guess he's single-minded in that way.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny. They say that all the time, right? It's like got to execute. I mean, that is what the idea, you call a play. If everybody does it the right way and it's executed properly, it should be successful. That's what the other team's trying to do at the same time.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the idea of what they're trying to do. It is just kind of funny. I said, Josh, his progressions go, he starts for about 3 seconds. First progression, I'm going to try to answer. Boom. Second progression, execute. That's the way he goes. So.
Yeah. He's locked in. He's focused. We know the Bills defense is expecting that as well after, Mike, what happened in Orchard Park a couple weeks ago against the Patriots.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't as bad as it was perceived. The whole thing, you guys know, are you embarrassed? That question and what that led to and all that stuff. But it was also a physical matchup that they didn't do what they needed to do. And I think, they've received a lot of criticism over the few weeks. And Jordan Poyer, while the guys tell us they don't hear it, they hear it, they listen and hear him. They use it.
Yeah, it probably never changed. No, but I mean, we use it. We use it as fuel. I mean, I know that's cliche, but at the same time, we understand, the lack of respect around for I'm talking to our group in particular, but even for our defense, days that maybe we're tired and coming in here, Mike and I motivate each other. Hey, they don't respect us. Like, we gotta go to work, and it's a little motivation that we continue to use.
Yeah. I think this team has had a lot of motivation, especially the Pro Bowl coming out.
Yep.
Josh Allen, an alternate, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, multiple alternates, only 2 guys being named to the Pro Bowl first team. So I know a lot of players, Dan, are going to be having a little extra motivation on top of the motivation for Sunday.
Yeah, they say they block out the noise, but they like to add some fuel to their fire. I think that's very honest. They know the spreads. They know who's picking who on Sundays. They know all the post-game shows. They hear plenty of it. So I think that adds to this Sunday's game against Foxborough, like Mike said, going back to the last meeting.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. We want to do the UR Medicine Sports Medicine injury report very quickly as we head to break. Just a couple of guys. We know Sanders looking like he'll be out on the field. Josh Allen seeming to be in a good position. What does that just mean for the team as they get, as they approach this game, which is huge?
Yeah, I think them trending in that direction. It's also important they get on the practice field together. That's big. But the big thing we got to watch for certainly is how it maps out COVID-wise, who's available, getting players back, possibly losing more. It is such a thing right now with all teams in the NFL. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on right up until Sunday morning.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have more coming up after the break. Sean McDermott against Bill Belichick. Is the rivalry on? We'll have it coming up on Buffalo Plus. Okay, cool. Let me just do a little timings.
Yeah, I'm looking here at some comments here.
How do Bills fans feel about, only 2 guys being named to the Pro Bowl?
Huggy Bear calling his shot, 27-17. We'll be getting to the picks. This could be said at almost any time.
Of course.
Oh, how about this? How about this, Jenna? Do you have aspirations?
Do I have aspirations? Yeah, of course.
God, he's probably interviewing up there this weekend.
Oh, stop. Yeah, from here. All right. Let me just look up something really quick.
This is interesting. Redshift says, do any of you think Cole is likely traded next year if he sticks around? I think it's fascinating with Cole. And it's the COVID issue. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know specifically what McDermott and Bean think. I know it's a beyond an annoyance for Sean McDermott, not just Cole, for any of the players, because, it's definitely can hurt them on the field, and it has this week. But he's also a guy that's got miles on him. He's going into the last year of a deal. Depending on what happens over this time.
They can save like 6.2.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say until you'd have to find a way to replace him. We don't know. We don't know what it would be, but I think a lot of things are on the table in the offseason.
Oh, I I completely agree with
Well, and
that.
it's the fact, and I know we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves, but it's like, you want that 6.2 million somewhere else? Where do you draft? The offensive line needs help. The defensive line needs help. Running backs need to be addressed. All of those things.
Yeah. What's the word on Dawkins? I guess we wait. As a vaccinated player, you don't have to be out for the 10 days. So
Correct.
the downside of that is he's not back yet.
Yeah.
At least as of, Thursday. So he could come back at any point when he gets the negative test. So we'll just have to wait to see.
Yeah. He needs 2 negative tests.
I think it's 1 now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think because it's constantly changing for vaccinated players.
Okay.
So
now, and also now what they're doing is, just real quick before we come back, it is players that are vaccinated only have to be tested if they are symptomatic.
Correct.
But then the league has hired an outside organization to do random pool testing, which it doesn't matter that person's vaccination status. It gets punched and crunched through a computer, and it spits out a name that about 2 players get tested each week. So about 8 random players will get selected. They are tested. That's why so many people have tested positive recently and have gone on social media and said, I'm fine. This is crazy that I have to miss this game. That doesn't matter. It is just the fact of, John Feliciano was one of them that just got randomly pulled. And then John Feliciano actually tweeted that he was in the emergency room on game day. So that's where they're at now. But the fear is that now players will hide their symptoms so that they don't have to get tested if they're experiencing symptoms. But J.C. Tretter, who is the NFL Players Association, he's the head of it. He tested positive today. He said he had symptoms, went and got a test, came back positive, and that he implored players, coaches to keep doing the right thing to protect their families and all those things. That is changing daily. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very fluid situation.
No doubt.
Okay. We have 6 minutes for this. We went pretty heavy on the last block, so let's try to keep it succinct.
That was for me, Dan.
Yeah. That was just you.
Some might call Mike a talker. A talker. All right, Belichick. Are we doing the Belichick VO right out of the break?
Whenever you want to.
Okay. Would you like me to, Jenna?
Yeah. We'll come back quick and then we'll go into him.
Okay.
All right. In 3, 2. All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus. We talked about the players. Let's talk about the coaches as well. Sean McDermott against Bill Belichick. We know Belichick, obviously his record, his resume, Mike, speaks for itself. But what do you make of the comments that were around last game and what this matchup means for these 2 coaches as they go head to head?
Oh, Jenna, don't give him more credit than he deserves, right? Come on, that's what Sean McDermott said, and we can go back to that. And we were in there. I mean, the question was about the psychological component of going against the hoodie here. I mean, no coach, especially a guy who's got the success that Sean McDermott's had, wants to hear that question framed in that way. But he is the best coach of all time, certainly in a lot of people's opinions. But McDermott believes he can match up against him. And I find it to be fascinating now because it's like his mentor, Andy Reid, going against him. Right? Think about it. Years ago when Andy Reid went against him in a Super Bowl. McDermott was there for that. This has been a guy that's a rival for them, and he's in the division. So it's real between these 2. I believe it. I think there's respect, Dan, but I think it is absolutely on between the 2 of them.
Massive amounts of respect between the 2, which is what made his comments post-game, an hour after the game, of losing a very weird game, and he's asked about the psychological, that he was showing too much emotion, and that Bill Belichick pretty much, the art of war on him and all that stuff. And it's the most blown out of proportion thing from that first game was that Sean McDermott is disrespecting him by saying, don't give Belichick more credit than he deserves. He's right to say he doesn't deserve more credit than he deserves in that game. In his career and his resume, it's been masterful. Maybe this may be his best coaching performance that he's done with a young quarterback and has rebuilt this entire team in a span of months. Incredible job. That game, Belichick and them have the most amount of respect for one another. This is what Sean had to say when asked about that this week.
When really the game is 0-0 or early in the game, those are the ones that are a little bit more predetermined. But as the game ebbs and flows, where there's things that change situationally, down and distance wise, field position, score, all those things that get factored in. through the course of the game, and it can change, whether you're going forward or decide to kick, punt, whatever, as the game kind of goes on. When really.
Sorry, Mike, you were saying that was more about the conservative nature of the two coaches. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's about the analytics part and how you make those decisions. And the reason we bring it up for this week is because I think both of these guys have been a little bit on the conservative side. We just saw that with Belichick, where he went for the field goal down by 13. Analytics would say go for 6. Yeah. He played it more old school. I find, guys, it's going to be fascinating on Sunday. When this game expected to maybe be low scoring and close, do they take chances? Do you go for the touchdown, not the field goal? Do you go for 2 when you have the chance? Because I think one of them is going to be more aggressive than the other. I really think that's what's going to happen on Sunday.
Well, I think, and Mike, you've talked about this, they're both kind of old school guys in terms of what they do in the decision making. But you're right. I feel like we've seen Sean McDermott maybe hedge, especially in that Tampa game and some of the decisions. But then again, you talked about the Indy game against, Patriots against Indy, and then what we saw from Belichick there. I feel like that's going to be a really interesting component as well, because I feel like now coaches are just so aggressive with going for it. But then also it's like, it just could, that right there could define the game, considering where we're at and how close we expect this game to be.
Yeah. And we talked to Mike Giardi from NFL Network. And one of the things he talked about, and I remember this game years ago, was when Belichick went for it at his own 29-yard line late in the game because he was playing against Peyton Manning. And it was about Peyton Manning. And they didn't get the first. Manning got the ball. They kicked the field goal and they won. So Belichick was being ultra aggressive because of the circumstances and who he was playing against. One of the other things we asked Giardi about was what he expects. I believe, Jenna, was the term bloodbath?
Blood and guts.
Blood and guts. I knew it was something like that. Here's what he said he expects between these two teams.
I think it's who plays the most clean game. I think it's the turnovers and the penalties. I think these teams are so close from a talent perspective. And obviously the magnitude of this game, now the nerves are going to get ramped up for both sides. Who handles that? Who doesn't make the silly mistake? Who doesn't get the taunting penalty or the late hit? Or, who doesn't, I'm going to throw the ball into triple coverage because I trust my guy to go get it, and it ends up as an interception. I think it's one of those games that's going to come down to, it's going to be a 3-point game. So don't make the mistake.
Ooh. Yeah. I love that. The blood and guts too. I've never heard of that. I do. I think that's exactly how this game will go. And I guess, Dan, I also have a quick question. Like, who do you think has more to prove in this game? Is it Mac Jones? Is it Josh Allen?
It's Josh Allen. I think Mac Jones will have more opportunities to prove it down the line. And I think the bar for Mac Jones is pretty low they only made him throw 3 passes in a game this year. Like, no matter what happens, no matter how far the Patriots go, that's going to be a knock on Mac Jones' rookie year. Remember that time that he threw 3 passes and they won a game? Josh Allen, this is the game that he needs to step up. This is still a quarterback-driven league. No matter how good or how bad you think these defenses are at times, this is about Josh Allen being the best player on the field.
But real quick, Matthew Judon, after they beat the Bills,
best
credited the entire offense. He said, except for Mac Jones, all he did was hand off.
Honesty.
But they won the game, and he was laughing. So the winners get to laugh.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk more Bills coming up. Also, new stadium on the horizon, the mock-ups, what we have to say. If it's a good fit for the Bills and in Buffalo, we'll have it coming up on Buffalo Plus.
My bad, Mike. I remember as I hit the button to roll that McDermott shot, I remember
that's why I was saying if we could transition. How do you feel about team? I'm all for it. So he says, who said this? So it was John McKay, who was the Bucs coach, who said it first, and then Marv, because Marv was so good at delivering the one-liners. So we won't give Marv credit for it, but he was like the second version of using it. And then Brian Kelly butchered it as the Notre Dame coach, like many things that he did. And he basically made it sound like he wanted accent. Yeah, that's true. Y'all gotta find some execution. Brian Kelly, please.
The worst part is when you botch that is then you have to go in to explain that you didn't mean to execute your team. It's like go to the press conference like, guys, I didn't mean to kill them. I meant it's the joke. You remember this? Like when you have to explain the joke, it's never funny.
Yeah, no, it's definitely over after that. Okay, hold on. I'm just doing
Look
a
at
little
Jenna
math.
doing math. This is my favorite part of the show.
She's gonna have to take her
Are
shoes
you
off.
Oh,
taking-
this I like.
I
This
was
is a
going to say,
good
are you going to
comment.
take a picture of this? Because I feel like you will.
Good comment by Brian here. The team needs a faster start. Nearly every game they lost, tough sledding in the first half. Absolutely true. And I think in this week's game, it's more important than almost any other one. New England is a
100%.
different team when they've got the lead. And they play with a defensive arrogance when they have the lead, not offensively, defensively. And they did it in the first game. It's almost like, we've got the lead. You've got to score on us.
Yep.
And they'll give up yardage. If you need more than a field goal, they feel like they've got you there. So, yeah, I think getting the lead, we always say that, but this team has struggled in the first quarters. They really have not looked good early. So that would be a big plus to see them score early.
Well, and also just changes the way New England has to play. If they can get out, get a lead, that would be huge. Making Mac Jones have to throw the ball, like that's your best offense, essentially.
Dan, Greg's about the rivalry.
Okay.
Kind of, is it a rivalry?
Yes. Okay. Stadium. Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. We have 4 minutes for this.
And I can explain a little bit about those photos.
Yeah, if you okay, I'll kind of tee you up and then we'll go from there. All right, in 3, 2. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus. We had the new stadium mock-ups coming up, the new home for the Buffalo Bills. Some beautiful pictures. Mike, can you kind of explain what we're looking at and what's kind of the expectation here?
All right, so these are, I guess they call them artist renderings. They say they're more art than they are specifically, but look at that I won't say roof, I'd say more overhang. Kind of reminds you of Seattle, no doubt about it. When we talked about this story initially, this is what it was. And it does protect people in the top. And it's more noise, less wind, all those things, why it's going to be outdoors. And you'll see in some of those photos, you can see downtown in the background. This is not going to be in the city of Buffalo. It's going to be in Orchard Park. There's many reasons behind it: cost, infrastructure, the 90 going through and the other highways. There's all kinds of issues that the Bills want to avoid and the state's not going to pay for. So while I had people saying to me today, oh, for another $25 million, you could put a retractable roof on. No, it's $250 million extra to do a retractable roof. So that money is not coming from the Pagulas. That would come from the state, and I don't think they're going to do it that way.
Love the renderings. Beautiful looking stadium. Beautiful. It's just got that big hole at the top of it that I'm just not a fan of.
Because you want it closed in.
Because I want a dome.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd love the dome too, but it's sort of like when Jenna's ready to buy a car. Like she wants one, but
okay, but it'll be a nice car. It'll be worth it.
Okay.
When it happens.
That's exactly right.
When the Bills get a new stadium, I'll get a new car. I feel like that's actually probably the proper timeline there. No, I mean, look, we know the stadium is something that's hugely important to this team, to Western New York in general. And we know, Greg Connors, our show sponsor, talked about that a little bit in last week's show. But Dan, also, I mean, I feel like where we're at in the season and what this team is looking forward to you want to have that environment for games like this, like Sunday, and what we expect.
Yeah, it's always great to get Greg's perspective on this. Great sponsor of the show and of Buffalo Plus. We ask him every week, and this week he was also checking in on the rivalry between these two teams.
But this is where these last 3 games, this is where he's got to put it together. And for me, if there's one game where he's got to do it, that's the most important. It's this one against the nemesis of the Bills. Somebody says, oh, this is a great rivalry. Well, to be a great rivalry, the other team has to think it's a great rivalry. I don't think the Patriots view the Bills as a great rivalry. They've walked all over us for the last 20 years. A win in Foxborough on Sunday, the day after Christmas, it becomes a rivalry.
Yeah.
Love it.
I agree.
Yeah, it does have to be. Rivalries can't be one-sided.
Yeah.
Like they just can't. And as Mike explained before in a mic drop, that they have been one-sided for periods of time.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned mic drop. Mike, it is time for your mic drop.
Well, Greg makes a good point about the rivalry, right? And where we are with this. I think this game is a bit of a referendum on the process for the Bills. And the reason I say that is because this season, the Bills were making that jump to a good team, to a playoff team, to the AFC Championship. This was the year, win the division, go to the Super Bowl, or attempt to get back to the AFC Championship and get there. And right now, who's standing in their way? The Patriots. And they're doing it with a rookie quarterback. And if you get swept by the Patriots in this season, it's a referendum because the Bills will have major work to do in the offseason. Not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs and who's the team in the Super Bowl. You're worried about who's in the AFC East. Miami's not bad. They've found a way a little bit, but it's New England again who is in your way. And I'm not saying winning this game Sunday solves every problem that you have, but this will be a hard look at this roster because you got the quarterback and you got to make it work. Referendum on the process coming up on Sunday.
Ooh, I guess we will have to wait and see. But coming up, we're also going to have our picks and predictions and see how this plays out. In terms of the process, we'll have that coming up after the break on Buffalo Plus.
Yeah, because it's why I say, if you lose both games to them, you lose at home in one way. And now, again, unless there was something screwy, like, Josh couldn't play or something. If it's just this,
Well, also weather is not expected to be.
Yeah. I mean, the weather made the first game screwy, no doubt about it. But this is the second one. And you lost your home and go to Foxborough and win. So that'll take care of a lot of problems.
Okay, hold on. I'm just doing more time.
241 comments.
Wow. Awesome job. That's cool.
This is interesting. I want to see this here. The idea of passing on free points. We have great kickers, borders on arrogance. Losing might trigger the Bills, Patriots, playoffs, and actually be in their favor. Ooh. I do think sometimes passing up on 3 points does come across as a little bit arrogant. Yeah, pass and pass some more. Dan, was that you that wrote that?
No, that's my burner.
Sometimes we've dismissed 3 points as it's nothing. Like, I do think there are circumstances where if it's 4th and goal at the 7, I'm kicking the field goal. I mean, unless the circumstances of the game, it's 4th quarter, you're down by whatever. Like, you got to take points when the odds are against you of converting.
Well, you also have to factor in, too, when it's that 4th and goal situation that you're talking about, Mike, when you get down in there, you're also, if you don't get it, you're forcing them to take the long field.
You're right.
Correct.
So, and again, that's where the Chargers messed up at the end of the half, because when you go for it and you don't get it, you don't get the advantage. Because again, the analytics, the numbers say, if you're going for 4th and goal from the 8, how many teams go 92 yards on you?
That's a good point.
Very few. So you're also flipping the field if you don't get it. And again, some of this analytic stuff, it does have to be on the field. If you don't think you can get 8 yards, then it's less than what your chances are, the risk to reward. So you kind of got to balance that, where it's like they say the 2-point conversion is like 50%. Well, what if you're a team that stinks on offense? What if you're the Jets? The Jets' 2-point conversion rate is not 50% because they stink. So they're going, well, we go by the book. Well, the book's stupid there for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And that's sort of what McDermott was saying. Predetermine some things, how you're going to be. And then a lot of it is circumstances, and it's who you have on the field. And when you've got Josh Allen, that should be an advantage.
Yes. Correct. No, it's very true. Someone wrote, what kind of car, Jenna? Tesla.
Who would buy? That's so arrogant.
Yeah.
So arrogant. Only arrogant people have a Tesla. Michael.
Happy holidays.
Wow. Happy holidays. Thank you, Anthony. That's
Yeah, look at that.
That's incredibly kind. We always appreciate the support. Okay. All right.
What are you laughing at, Jenna?
Dan fetes.
Wow, I've never heard that one before.
Sorry. Okay. All right. We have 2:45.
2:45. Okay.
And 3, 2. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus. All right, Dan, we have our picks coming up, but first we want to hear your best bets.
Well, my best bet is also going with the Bills game. So I'm going to go for a twofer. And that's good news because I'm heating up. 12-5 in my last 2 weeks of best bets. I've given out back-to-back winners here. I gave you the Chargers 2 weeks ago and the Bengals last week. And I'm going to take the Bills plus 2.5 points here. Josh Allen is 13-3-3 against the spread as an underdog of a touchdown or less. Look, they're just a really good team as small dogs. So I'll take the 2.5 points in this one against the Patriots. As for the game, I just like the Bills in this one as well. I think this one is close, but I just think the Bills have a little bit more confidence. I think they're more prepared for this game. I think there's more on the table for the Bills to prove. I think the Patriots, the rebuild just a little bit early. I just like this Bills team as the hungrier dog that really needs this. 24-23, Bills get the win.
Okay. I also have the Bills winning this one as well. I have this being a close game, but I also just think you talk so much about the Bills being great as the small underdog, about this team. I just think there's so much motivation for this Bills team in terms of also the disrespect. And we know how much the Bills have loved being disrespected in terms of turning that into something and working with that, being the hunter as opposed to the hunted. And I just feel like because of that, where we're at in the season and what this game means. I mean, look, I didn't expect the Patriots to be here, be ahead of the Bills in the standings for the AFC East. But at the same time, I think this Bills team is the better team. They are the more experienced team. And I think they have the better quarterback hands down. So because of that, I have the Bills winning this one 24-21. But I expect a very close game in this one on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Jenna, you hit on the part I wanted to say about the quarterback. And how many times did I say to you guys, the Bills went decades, rarely having the better quarterback on the field. And they certainly went decades every time they played the Patriots. I mean, even when Brady didn't play the few times, it was more of a push than it was an advantage. So I've got the better quarterback winning, the Bills taking it 24-20 over the Patriots.
All right. We know the Bills will have the AFC East title on the line on Sunday. Weather, not supposed to be a factor. I know a lot of Bills fans are very, very pleased about that. We want to make sure you follow us on Buffalo Plus, our YouTube channel. Mike Catalana and I will be at the game on Sunday. Dan Fates will be in studio holding it down on the 13 Wham page. So be sure to check us all out there. Game time kickoff will be at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching Buffalo Plus. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Enjoy the game and check out Buffalo Plus on YouTube for all your post-game coverage.
Here we go. Oh, look at this. Here we go.
What?
Long Island. Great YouTube channel. Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks, guys.
Bobby, is it in Long Island or on Long Island?
Yeah.
I think you're on Long Island, right?
Well, don't people, like, some people say online. Like, I don't say that, but I feel like
say
people,
on Cape?
It's on the Cape. You say on the Cape.
It's on. All right, Bobby, confirm.
If you're not from Cape Cod, you say on Cape. But if you're from Cape Cod, you say on the Cape.
Oh, interesting.
Thanks, Bobby, for clearing that up. I will now
Pinkies
never
up.
mess that up.
Pinkies up.
Well, in Jersey, we say down ashore.
Somebody's asked where this final product goes. We cut it up and it exports it, and it plays Sunday morning at local markets around the area.
In Buffalo, Fox, and Rochester, Fox, it plays in the morning on Sunday before the Fox coverage of the game. So, but you guys get to see it now. Look at that.
Yes. Ken asked how come we can see you through the commercials? Just because we record this beforehand and then cut it up for after. Red Shift asking, why don't you have 12K subs? That's a great question. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly,
let's go
to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel if you enjoy our coverage.
Maybe, Jenna, you should mention that more often.
Do you feel like I've said that before?
Here we
like,
go.
comment,
You're going to literally get mad at me if I don't say that right off the bat.
Like, comment, subscribe.
There we go.
Merry Christmas.
Glad the game wasn't flex. Now that's interesting. I spoken to Mike Reese about that from ESPN. It's in large part because of the games that are in place. I think Kansas City maybe is playing in the
Pittsburgh,
Kansas
City,
game,
Pittsburgh,
which is good TV, big teams, those two. And I think Dallas is the night game, and they don't take Dallas off the night games.
Shout out
thanks,
Ian.
Yeah.
Oh, Ian, hey.
My
favorite YouTubers.
Look at that.
Why doesn't Jenna have a Tesla? Mostly money. Seems like the biggest objective there. Merry Christmas.
I only have one because I'm green.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what I think.
It's nothing to do with your arrogance. It's just the green thumb.
Hey, hold on. I have all 35 of my years around. I guess it's a few more than that. But
how many you covered the Bills for 35 years? I thought.
Not 35. It's 34. This year's 34. Yeah, next year will be 35.
Wow. Sorry, I'm already
Patriots fan in the house. How about that?
I don't know.
Look at that.
Is that my uncle? No, I'm kidding.
So you're surrounded by them now, aren't you?
Yes. So I'm at my grandparents' house in Providence, and it's
On Providence.
Okay, no.
Hey, by the way, I'm the one who should be in Providence. There's a lot of paisans in Providence, right?
Yes. Well, we're gonna go to Fed Hill, which is a really good neighborhood for food. But instead we got takeout because I didn't want to leave. Because I had to do this, had to work.
Look at
Mike
that.
is putting me to work on Christmas Eve.
Eve. Well, what do you think Dan and I have been doing?
You definitely talking at least. Let's see. Rhode Island, Merry Christmas. Patriots fan here to spy.
Wait a minute, hold on. What is this?
Jenna gonna laugh at her family on Sunday.
It says, Mike, stop using your name in Zoom interviews. We know who you are. What's Zoom? Are you talking about with the Bills?
Oh, that's true. That's funny.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I guess when I say to Sean, it's, I mean, unless he's, at least I didn't thank him 1,000 times and wish him happy holidays 10 times. And
I don't think Mike, he said your name before. He'll be like, yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I know. And it's just, I guess, yes, it is kind of funny, but I don't know. I just talk too much.
Yes, you certainly know how to chat. That's for sure. All right. Well, Mike and I will be at the game on Sunday. Y'all keep executing. Oh, keep on executing, y'all. Wow, read that really wrong. Happy holidays. Burn that Blue Devils jersey. Okay, so wait. So Dan's jersey is Fredonia Blue Devils, where he played.
And look at that. Speaking of Fredonia, he probably used to see me at Fredonia. My parents used to take me during the summer, and he knows, man, that was so different. Look at that, Dan. Burn the jersey.
How come Singletary looks better? Because they're playing bad teams. I don't know. Because they can't constantly run their head into a wall all the time.
I will say it's going to be interesting to see what they attempt to do running the ball this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their advantage is still throwing it.
Do we think
obviously
Josh has more QB design runs?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's running. But, New England knows that too. And look, if I'm taking something away from the Bills, I think that's a big part of what I want to take away from them. He uses that. It can be so impactful. I mean, even in games like New Orleans and all, I think they do want to, I mean, I know he can throw it, but I do think they want to do that to him. I think they know that they can get hurt by Josh running the ball. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close game. Yeah. Hopefully no embarrassing.
Yeah.
Nothing embarrassing. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a very happy and safe holiday. For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. Again, I know we say it a bunch, but if you could like this video, subscribe to our channel, we really do appreciate it. Someone asking how's Josh's foot. He's doing well. It seems like he's in his normal form. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a happy and safe and healthy holiday. We will catch you on Sunday for all your post-game coverage on the Buffalo Plus channel.